Welcome to My Parents Lied to Me, the podcast about navigating aging, loss, and all the midlife changes no one warned us about. I'm Nicole Porter, here with real stories and expert advice to help you face what's now and what's next. Welcome to my first podcast. My name's Nicole Porter. I am glad you're here today. I'm just getting started on my podcast journey, and I have my very special first guest here today. Her name is Nicole Taylor. We were introduced, I think, just because our names are Nicole, but no.
Nicole's are pretty awesome.
We're really just two cool Nicoles and just wanted to talk to you today. So anyway.
Thank you, Nicole.
Welcome.
Appreciate you having me. I'm excited about this conversation.
Me too. So Nicole and I met through a mutual connection. I am starting a new business called Your Parent Porter, and it is a home and wellness check-in service for independent aging parents. If you know my story, you'll hear it. If you don't know my story, you'll hear it another time. But I'm here because I met Nicole. I had to deal with my mother's hoarding house when, I don't want to say that. You can cut that out. Nicole and I were brought together when I told the story of my parents passing and having to deal with all of the clutter and collection of my mother's when they passed. So Nicole was brought to me as she is a professional home organizer, and I just love her service. I love her personality, and just because she's Nicole, we're best friends now.
I know, right? Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I've specialized in organizing for like the last 15 years. I own a company called Taylored To You, and we help people, mainly seniors actually. So we had a lot in common. Our first conversation, I remember we were just chatting about like what you were into, and then it morphed into, oh my gosh, you know, you're going through a lot, like with what you were going through with your parents and downsizing and having to go through a lot of stuff. And, you know, it's funny how I run into more oftentimes than not folks in a really tight spot when it's like too late, when they're forced to make decisions on the fly, and they're put in positions that they're not necessarily ready for emotionally. And so I think being a professional organizer, helping people relocate, helping people figure it out in a really stressful time, right? Especially when it comes to working with the siblings of parents who are having to transition to senior living communities or downsize, or having to deal with that. You know, that's a big task, a big right. task. So yeah. I'm here to hopefully relieve, you know, some of that stress from my clients who, you know, are like your clients, are the children of the parents who are having the transition. So it's a privilege, it's an honor, and I absolutely love what I do. But it's hard to see sometimes. You come across people who, you know, who aren't ready and who have to face a lot of stuff when it comes to downsizing. And, you know, and I think we talked about this previously where, you know, in one moment their life is perfectly fine, the parents are awesome, everything's fine, and it takes one fall. It takes one episode of something that will just, you know, turn their lives upside down. And so that's a big thing that you and I share in our hopes to alleviate the pain somewhat.
Right.
So
yeah. As a professional real estate agent, I run across homes, you know, where the families don't know what to do with mom and dad's house. They live out of state. They don't know anything about it. So do you find that a lot of people, like, do real estate agents come to you, or is it specifically the kids after something's happened to mom and dad? Like, where would you say, like, most of your clients come from?
I think that's a good question. There's a combination of clients that find me. I would say it could be sibling, or it could be the children of the parents who are needing to downsize and needing to relocate. Sometimes quite often, honestly, it's the individual parents. It's the individual, elderly that realize that they have to make a change, that they're getting in a position where they live by themselves and they no longer want to live this way. And, they want to find more support, whether a lot of times I've ran into clients that don't even have parent or children. Right. And so they live on their own and they have to figure it out. And so other times I do work with senior facilitators, those who help coordinate people who are moving or transitioning into communities. And so I've been called by them as well. So, and of course, real estate agents, who have, who work with, their specific real estate agents who do work with elderly folks and want to specialize in those type of transitions. And so I love to find connections in that regard that we come together and help support. So
are these all parents that are like, 80s and 90s, or are we looking at a younger age group? I know, we're the Gen X. I think you're maybe a little bit younger. You might be
millennial-ish.
You're a late millennial. I'm a late Gen Xer. Or early, what is it? Anyway, I'm a Gen X. We're right there, on the verge of things. Where our parents were getting older, they are getting older. My parents passed in their 60s, which is a little bit too soon for me.
Right.
But I mean, we're going into that baby boomer era that they're still living by themselves or they're starting to transition. At what point, do you see it happening more in the age group that they're younger, like that 65 to 70 range, or are they more like 70 to 90?
I think it depends. I feel like most of the clients that find me on their own without, their children involved or without, that type of support are usually starting to see signs of their health declining. And that's when they'll call me and say, I'm at a stage in my life where I'm, 65, even 60, 65, and their health is declining rapidly, and they realize it really quickly that they don't want to be, out in the deep end at some point without any support. So they take it upon themselves. And you know what? It's so interesting. And I love this conversation because I've had women, especially, this is not to negate, sexism here or whatever, the point is there's elderly women or older women rather. They don't even have to be elderly. Elderly to me is like 90 or 102. You're on the last years of your life, not the last decade. Right. You know what I mean? And people are living longer now. So that's also, so I could go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, let's go back. Women are so resilient. They've lost their spouses. They're single women who live on their own, who struggle with, with their health or just, being alone. I mean, being alone either way kind of sucks, but they get to the point where they are awesome. And the women that I tend to work with are older and have major health issues, like people who have major arthritis in their feet and legs and hands, can't move anything. So they'll call me to be like, I need help packing because I can't do it myself. And then so you have these, women who are very strong, very, very strong. The last client that I had, in this regard, she was 65, maybe 67, something like that. And she had beautiful skin. I would see her face and I'm like, gosh, what did you do to your skin? She said, I just stayed out of the sun. And I'm like, that's smart. Right. She looked phenomenal for her age. And, but her health was declining, but she was a divorcee, and she got a divorce about 5 years ago during COVID. And it was phenomenal to work with her because even though she was physically ill and in pain, she was one of the strongest ladies that, I mean, she just kind of like mustered through it, man. Like even the days where she just felt like crap, she would come together, pull herself up from her bootstraps and just be like, we're doing this, you know? And so, I just love the resilience of folks in that generation, because there's, you know, it sucks to get old. It sucks to hurt. It sucks to be alone. But yet they're able to kind of pull themselves back up and just be like, I need better. And when you start to choose yourself at a certain age, especially, that it just goes to show like how resilient humanity is as a whole. So I think it's beautiful.
No, I think that's great that you have the people that are willing to admit that. Like, I mean, my mother, you know, we've been begging her for years, like, Mom, please clean some. I'll do it on my own time. I'll do it when I'm ready. I'll do it, you know, and it just never happened. So to hear you say that there are people that are like, I don't want to do this to somebody else, or, you know, I want a better life for myself while I'm still here, or, you know, I want to start cleaning things out now. Yeah. Like, that gives me, that warms my heart. I wish my mom would have done that. But, yeah, I digress.
No, it's a beautiful thing when they start to realize they don't want to put that burden on someone else, right? And they start to realize like there's got to be a better way or a different way, even. And moving, and anyone could attest to this. Moving is so overwhelming, even just the general population,
right? Oh, absolutely.
You know, any age. I mean, you have to up and move, especially when you're, you know, when you're having health issues, like there's no way. Like it's so, I feel like there's just so many people out there who just need that extra hand when they don't have hands themselves. Right. You know?
Well, and I mean, I'm kind of a health and wellness and personal development junkie as well. And I know that clutter, you know, does stuff to your health as well. Like, I mean, it should relieve them a lot to release all of the things, you know. I can't remember the particulars about it, but I mean, I don't know if you've heard about things like this, how much, or if you deal with people becoming more light and free from releasing all the things.
Oh, yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm trying to think of the words, but because I'm like, I've read so many books and all the things about your health and wellness around, you know, living in chaos. You know, it makes your health chaos when you live in chaos. Yeah. And so I think home organization is like super important to your health and well-being if you are going to live a long life.
Yes. No, I agree. I feel like also you can't force people to let go until they're ready to let go. Like you have to allow grace to just kind of lead them to, and sometimes this is really hard to say, but you have to allow them to kind of see their own shit and face the music and realize on their own or with some guidance or maybe a little bit of a flashlight here or there for them to come to their own realizations. Because it is hard. I mean, our generation, I feel like, is in a position to just, I'm done with this crap. I don't need it. I want less. Less is more. You know, this kind of philosophy of just like living more minimalistic, easy to travel, easy to do all the things I want to do without feeling like I'm bogged down, right? But when we're talking about baby boomers, that generation, you're talking about folks that are coming either out of the Great Depression or in that era of, I have to keep everything that's given to me since I was a baby, you know, or I was born. And then you have, you know, I like to call them master collectors, that they have a tendency to just collect things because it makes them feel like, you know, going through a rough stage financially. You know, I try to hoard money. I mean, who else wouldn't, right? So like you're trying to hold on to as much stuff as you can. And then you realize you wake up one day 20, 30, 40 years later and go, why? And so I think but you have to let them get to that point by themselves. And not everyone will. But it's people like us, like in this industry, helping those kind of, you know, how do you want to spend the rest of your life? Do you want to spend it with your stuff or with people you love? Like, you have to come down to priorities too. And in the kindest way, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that you gotta, sometimes it takes a loved one, their children, adult children, to just be like, Mom, Dad, listen. We want to spend as much time as we can with you, and what's preventing that from happening? And, is this stuff more important? And not to say that, you don't want to put people and their things and in between, in between their children, and that happens quite often.
Right.
So how do you have that conversation, with your parents? Because you mentioned to me you had some rough go.
I don't think my mother would have ever gone that direction. I mean, we begged and pleaded, like, Mom, please, let's get rid of stuff. She wanted to do it on her own time. I don't know if I don't think she ever would have come to that conclusion by herself. So I don't think there was any way around it for us. Though we're from a small town. So my mom would never have, I would have hired somebody to go in and do it for us. So my mom and I didn't have to fight. But because we're from such a small town, it would have been somebody from the next city over, and she would have been worried about somebody talking about her stuff and what her house looked like. I mean, that's how they operate back there. But I think it's really awesome in a big city like this where you're totally anonymous, I would I think my mom, if we were in a bigger city, I think we could have been like, Mom, we hired a home organizer. She's going to come in and she's going to work with you, and you guys get to do it. And we're not going to talk to you or touch anything, and you get to do it. I think my mom might have done that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm hoping with my new service, is that I can say, your mom's got a lot of crap. I have a home organizer. Do you think that your mom would be open to this if we connect them? And then just give them your name and let you handle it from there.
And I agree with you. I think that's a good point, because, I'll use my parents, my mom and myself as a good example. I can't go to her house and organize. Trust me, I've tried. It's World War 300. It is off the charts. This was years ago, but I remember, Mom, let's do the closet today. Let's go do this, and it was just don't tell me what to do with my stuff. I don't need you to blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but I'm helping you, So I would take it personally, and it was just it wasn't working.
This is why we connected, because these are the exact same things I went through with my mother. Come on, Mom, it's so much fun. Let's throw things away. Yeah. And then it's not a game for her.
No, it's true. And honestly, and this was back in this is probably upwards of 8 to 10 years ago, when I tried to help. And my help was not helpful, because I was pressuring her. I was putting her in a rough spot for her to kind of, get her to do what I thought was necessary. And I just don't think that's the way at the time. You can't force them.
Right.
Whether it's your
Gen
parents.
X kids, you're not the only one. It happens to all of us. We've all had the conversations with our parents. So that's why you hire a third-party service that's unbiased, totally, and just has your best interests and your parents' best interests at heart. So that's really why, talking to you more and more and having these conversations is exactly why I want to start my business, because there's such a need for relief between the kids and the parents. It saves everybody. Yeah. I think it takes a lot of the anxiety off the parent as well. Knowing that their kid doesn't see all their stuff. They're very private about some of it. I found out my mom's love letters and high school yearbooks, and my mom had a whole stash of stuff, and my aunt told me what some of it was. But I think that the parents don't want their kids to see that as well, and I think that's probably another reason they fight against you letting them help you clean out the house.
Yeah. So, I always feel either whatever you're trying to do with any family member, especially when it comes to business or doing a major transition, it's so rough. It's so rough because you're so close related. You have so many similarities, so many memories, so many experiences, so many this and that you have all these connections with your parents that it makes sense to hire someone that doesn't have those experiences, because there's a new person coming in. They have no idea what's going on until they get to experience being with that person. And even then, it's so much easier for the parents because there's no pressure from the kid. Like, Mom, why do you still have this? It's like 20 years old. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to be like.
Are there things that you see like everybody holds on to? Like, there's
China.
The China
cabinet.
Okay.
My grandma still is holding on. I mean, she's 89, or she's turning 90 this year. But she still, in her house, has this full cabinet of china from her grandmother, probably. I think it's actually her mom's, but my great-grandmother.
Is it worth anything, or is it just more memories? Because I think when my brother and I were going through Mom's stuff, she saved a plate or the milk glass or the things, and like we looked it up and we're like, okay, it's worth $5. Like,
it's not.
Is
anymore.
it? I mean, it's not. Some of the pieces aren't all there. Mom, like, what is all this? What is all this? So I feel like that was a big thing for my mom, was the china and the grandma's silver and like all the things.
My grandma was so addicted to thrifting when I was growing up, and my mom would take us to grandma's house. Oh, we're gonna go to the thrift store today, and you come and just she would buy tchotchkes and like three different random things that she just loved because it had blue in it, or her favorite color. So like, you have these collectibles, and that generation's so funny, because I had a client, this is last year or sometime, and there's a mirror. There's a specific mirror. It was like a body-sized mirror, but it was more lean. It wasn't as wide. And to me, it looked just like a standard mirror. No, I didn't use Google Lens. I should have probably for this, but I didn't. And I was like, okay, well, she asked me, well, how much do you think I can get for it? Well, no, actually, I said, I think it's going to probably be worth $50-$60 if we did a rummage sale or something. Oh, no, that's worth $500. I was like, maybe 30 years ago, maybe. Right. And that was on a good day.
Were you right? Were you right?
I was very spot on.
We had a lot of those conversations with my mother as well.
It was like, you take this to consignment, you might get $50, maybe $100, maybe. Right. But that's just, Anyway,
I know there's a million stories we could tell about all the things we find in our parents' homes, or you find in your clients' homes.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else we should know about your business?
Well, downsizing is a process.
What are your favorite? So as we kind of like wrap up, I want to let people know more about what you do. You don't just deal with hoarders. We were just at a property today looking at cars across 5 acres, but so I know that you do a lot of different things. So can you just kind of like, tell a little bit about exactly what you like to do?
Yeah.
The big part of your business is not all about hoarding and clutter. She does a lot more than that. So I just want her to be able to, really explain her full service scope and how you can find her.
Yeah. So, we do all kinds of stuff. Where I call myself a professional organizer, which I am. That is a big piece of what I do in all parts of the business. Taylored to You was designed to create space in all the right places, and that's in the general standard residential home to an apartment to I want just my garage done, and I need to fit my car, especially here in Phoenix. You want to not park your car out in the driveway. You want to find room in the garage. And so we do all kinds of spaces like that. And then, we also have a relocation package from start to finish, help people pack. We coordinate moves. We basically do everything but the heavy lifting, and that is what we outsource. So, from start to finish, pack, coordinate, unpack, set their homes up. Even if you're not disorganized, but you don't want to move, and you don't want to pack, you don't want to unpack, that's what we do too.
Awesome.
So you can find us at www.tayloredtoyoullc.com. You can email me at Nicole@tayloredtoyoullc.com. And we service the entire Phoenix area. So
Awesome.
yeah, love it.
Well, thank you for being my first guest,
thank
and
you,
actually
Nicole.
encouraging me to do the podcast myself,
Yay.
because I have been saying I'll start one, and finally today I guess we are.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy. I can't wait to see
Thank you for letting me be imperfect on my first try, and I know we'll do more collaboration again. So
Heck yeah, I'm excited. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. I am Nicole Porter. I am with your Party Porter and Nicole Porter Realtor AZ. So happy to be of service to you. Thanks for listening to My Parents Lied to Me, where we face the realities of aging, family change, and midlife reinvention with a little grit and a lot of heart. If today's conversation helped you feel less alone, I would love for you to like it, share it with a friend, and hit follow so you don't miss the next story or tip that might help you navigate what's next. Because even if our parents didn't tell us everything, we're figuring it out one chapter at a time.